Hey everyone, Nick here and welcome back to GamerTube, and welcome back to our Five Nights at Freddy's character concept series. So in today's video, the character we're looking into is Rodney Roach. So in the comment section down below, we saw a couple of viewers suggest a Balloon Boy character, more specifically a Cockroach Balloon Boy character. So we thought this was a pretty neat idea, so before we go ahead with it. So we'll go into Rodney Roach's gameplay mechanics, backstory, location, and all that good stuff as well. And as always, I will just state that everything I say in these videos isn't necessarily linked to the overall lore and universe of FNAF. These are just a cool, creepy story we get to tell, and we hope you enjoy. And lastly, before we start today's video, do be sure to subscribe to GamerTube as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. It also keeps you up to date with all the videos that we post. Alrighty, well, let's get into the character concept of Rodney Roach. So far in our character concept series, we've been introduced to the Insect Kingdom Pizzeria, a bug-themed Freddy Fazbear establishment that is home to many dangerous and deadly animatronics. Throughout the nights, the security guard has managed to fend off each and every crazed insect character. But apart from each of these characters trying to kill the player, what if there was a non-threatening character at the pizzeria? A character that simply wanted to cause mischief for their own childish enjoyment. This would bring us to the troublesome little character of Rodney Roach. Rodney Roach was another one of the side characters at the Insect Kingdom Pizzeria. Just like Spider Puppet, they weren't included in the main lineup of the main characters. So, hence the name, Rodney was designed after the common cockroach. The cockroach was typically a very disliked insect and was thought to be quite the pest amongst most households. But the engineers did their best to make Rodney look as cute and inviting as possible. They took inspiration from one of the other pre-existing characters at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. And this character was of course Balloon Boy. Some keen-eyed guests would take notice of their big bright blue eyes and their large toothy smile. Also, just like Balloon Boy, Rodney was one of the shortest animatronics at the Insect Kingdom Pizzeria. They were typically modelled to be the same size as the average 5-year-old child. This would make Rodney less threatening and scary for the children. So Rodney's role at the Insect Kingdom Pizzeria was that of balloon distribution. It was their job to hand out balloons to all the children at the pizzeria. Apart from the normal run-of-the-mill balloons, they also had a number of big bright insect balloons as well. This ranged from butterflies, caterpillars, spiders, and even earthworms. So as far as the pizzeria was concerned, Rodney was quite the trouble-free animatronic. They did their job handing out balloons and made all the children laugh and smile as they did so. The only drawback with Rodney was that he was quite the prankster. Here and there, Rodney would always play pranks on all the pizzeria employees. He was known to hide and misplace items and sneak up on the workers and give them a fright. To Rodney, it was all fun and games. They never meant to harm any of the workers, nor did they ever really want to. All they were doing was just harmless fun. Throughout the months, multiple employees would complain about their car keys and other personal belongings being misplaced. Of course, these kinds of mishaps and pranks only happened after hours. When all the animatronics were placed into their free roam setting, this is typically when Rodney would cause most of their mischief. But it wasn't just the employees that they played pranks on. They played a fair amount of pranks on the animatronic characters as well. This would include teasing Bella B with candy tied to a string, or placing the plastic balls from the ball pit in Alex's empty eye sockets, and even turning on the lights when Roy didn't want to be seen. Some mornings, as the employees would get the stage and the instruments ready, they would find all the characters' instruments covered in silly string and confetti. The employees never caught on to Rodney's mischievous deeds. Rodney very much enjoyed playing his pranks on all the characters and the employees. But above all, the person they enjoyed pranking the most was the night guard. They were the perfect target. They couldn't do anything but sit in the office and watch the monitors. The numerous tricks that Rodney would play on the night guard would include swapping out their coffee for a cup of pizza sauce, taking their guard hat and wearing it around the pizzeria, and sometimes blocking the view of the cameras. Like always, Rodney didn't mean any harm to the night guard. All they wanted to do was have some fun. But little did they know, their childish actions would land the security guard in more danger than they bargained for. So before we get into the gameplay segment, as we've established so far in the story, Rodney isn't a dangerous character. They aren't out to attack the player, nor are they trying to help or aid the other characters in harming the night guard. All the tricks and pranks they did was for their own enjoyment. No one knew why Rodney was like this, but assuming they were the smallest and most childlike character at the pizzeria, they must have developed childlike mannerisms that caused them to act in such a way. Day after day, handing out balloons to all the children and making them laugh and giggle, Rodney developed a laugh of their very own. This wasn't something they were programmed to do, but they heard it so many times that they made their very own childish laugh. The employees and the night guard have reported hearing this childish laugh, even though it was after hours and there was no kids to be seen. This initially confused all the employees as they searched for hours for the missing child. But they soon discovered that it was Rodney Roach who was making these childish noises. So now let's get into the gameplay segment of the video. So traditionally in these character concept videos, the gameplay loop has always followed the classic FNAF formula of observation and management. So whilst keeping an eye out for all the other characters, the player needs to look out for Rodney as well. So the way in which Rodney would approach the office would be through the air vents. They would be able to approach from either the left and right hand vent. The player would be notified of their presence from their childlike laughter. So when Rodney appears, the player has to look at them until he backs away. This being because Rodney wants the night guard's attention. If they aren't stared at for the whole time or ignored altogether, this is where they would start acting up. One of the moves they would do is block the cameras with balloons in order to get the guard's attention and play a trick on them. They would float the balloons right in front of the cameras, obscuring the player's vision of the other characters. Another trick that they'll pull is gumming up the buttons on the console when you're not looking. And by gumming up, it's meant literally. When the player isn't looking, Rodney will cram chewing gum into the spider puppet feeding button. In order to unstick it, the player needs to rapidly click on it to get the gum out. And lastly, Rodney has the ability to leave toys under the metal doors. The doors wouldn't be able to close properly, and this would allow the other characters to get in. Like the gum, the player needs to click on the toy and throw it out of the way. So, Rodney doesn't have the ability to jump scare the player. Their main gameplay mechanic was to make things a lot more tricky and difficult for the player. Although they aren't out to get you, the other characters certainly are. If the player isn't careful and doesn't take notice of Rodney's devious tricks, then they'd be greeted with a classic FNAF jump scare from all the other characters. So I believe that Rodney Roach would be a great addition to the Insect Kingdom Pizzeria. Not only is it interesting to have a non-threatening character that's friendly and mischievous, but their constant tricks and pranks would definitely make things a lot more difficult for the player. With Rodney running around the pizzeria, the player's safety isn't guaranteed. Alrighty everyone, well that's all we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting and subscribing, as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. Also let us know in the comment section down below what you thought of Rodney Roach and what you'd like to see going forward. Alrighty everyone, well to the next video, I'll catch you later, bye.